Rocky Balboa, folks. It's in the books, and we've got this special Rocky ride. Don't worry, the camera's mounted. This is hands-free, and I've got my eyes on the prize, the road ahead. So all you folks that are nervous, I did wear my mask in the theater, like a good little American citizen, made in China mask. And I do want to say this Rocky ride, I want to, for whatever it's worth, dedicate to Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, and his family. Obviously, we're not good personal friends, although I have been following The Rock his whole career and also his father's career. And it was very sad when his dad passed away, and now Dwayne The Rock Johnson and his family have experienced coronavirus. So before you ditch me on this Rocky ride, folks, and go check in with The Rock and how he's doing, he's fine, his family is fine, but they are dealing with coronavirus, so we all have to wear masks and do what we can to socially distance. At the same time, I hope I'm not sending a mixed message, but I am going to live life. I am going to mask up and go see a movie. And this week I've seen many movies in addition to those 6 original Rocky films. Creed 1 and 2, by the way, are not part of this Comeback Classics, just so you know. I like those movies as well. But I have also seen The Lord of the Rings, the first 2 movies. I saw Wonder Woman today. I saw the David Copperfield film. I wasn't in love with that. So I've been trying to do my part to reinvigorate the film industry, folks, and doing these videos, whether it's a lot of people or a little bit of people, watching them or sharing them. You can always share these videos, folks. Don't leave me in a lurch here by myself. Trying to get people back to the theater. So Rocky Balboa, I want to pick up on a few things I missed from previous videos. Warner Wolf was one of the commentators, I guess, for the Apollo Creed fight with blah 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 Ivan Drago in Rocky IV. Warner Wolf was a broadcaster, a new sports journalist, a sports broadcaster. Left Washington D.C., went to New York, I think, and came back. And if you really are a hardcore Mike Messier YouTube subscriber, you might find Warner Wolf mentioned in one of my, probably my first Mandela Effect videos. It's not a great video, but I do mention that I had thought Warner Wolf had passed away because I remember distinctly reading an article about him dying many years ago in the Washington Post, but he's not dead. At least as of now, he's not. So, not to confuse the issue, but just a little side note that it was fun to see Warner Wolf in Rocky IV. Leg dive takedown last night that I forgot to mention in Rocky V. That street fight between Tommy Gunn and Rocky Balboa. Sylvester Stallone kind of pulls out a little Jay Youngblood there, or Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, or Ricky Steamboat from their Mid-Atlantic tag team days, with a nice leg dive takedown on fucking Tommy Gunn. I always find it interesting that Stallone, as you know, and Stallone, obviously a lot of respect for the guy, but he is of a shorter height. But I wonder how these boxers like Tommy Gunn and tonight's Antonio Tarver feel. They probably just honored to be there, but you know, I don't know how Stallone would do in a real fight. Maybe he'd kick their ass. Who knows? But Stallone, you got to give the guy a lot of credit. I mean, these movies range, I think 75 was the first Rocky when it was filmed in 2006. So, I mean, that's 31 years. And the guy looks phenomenal. So you have to tip your hat or salute Rocky, Sylvester Stallone as Rocky, first of all. And then, did I forget anything else? This Rocky Balboa, 2006, it really does hold up well. I think one reason, as I said last night, the music choice for the fight scene especially is the more traditional score. Whoever's doing the score, I don't think the person did all the Rocky films. They took a departure, tried to be a little too with the times in the 1990 Rocky V with the rap. Like I said, if it had been Public Enemy or Ice-T or someone of note that did the rap, but the rap in 5 was not the best. This score in the fight scene was great. I think the flashbacks in this one You know, Apollo Creed didn't get as mentioned as much as I thought I would have thought that he would have been, but Apollo did not get a lot of shine time or memory time in Rocky Balboa. Mick got a little bit of love. I'm not sure if Burgess Meredith was still alive by the time they filmed Rocky Balboa. I don't remember. But Mick got a couple of flashbacks. Apollo, I can't remember if Apollo got any nice flashbacks. Clubber Lang didn't. Drago didn't. The movie Rocky Balboa, spoilers, I guess. The movie does not start with a flashback to 16 years earlier, Rocky fighting Tommy Gunn in the street, which is probably for the best because so much time had passed. It does start with kind of Rocky waking up with a framed portrait of his beloved Adrian. Spoilers, Adrian has passed away. In the meantime, that's a recurring theme. We don't really know how Adrian dies unless I'm forgetting something, if she had some type of disease or an accident. But it's always sad, you know, when a parent outlives a child, or when I guess to a lesser extent, when a man outlives his wife. You know, that should be a moment of sadness. Paulie, of course, is still around. Paulie's really one of the only original guns in this movie besides Duke, you know, the trainer. Tony Burton in the corner. Is that his name? I get confused sometimes, because there's been a few Dukes in this thing. Because, like, there was the guy who managed Tommy Gunn, George Washington Duke, but isn't Rocky's guy that was with Apollo, isn't he Duke as well? I'm sorry, I get confused. But we go forth, and this movie is a good movie. I think it holds up well. It's a 14-year-old movie now itself. Time fucking flies, folks. If you've got any plans in your life, if you're waiting to write your great American novel or your exploits, go the fuck ahead and do it. Because one thing you got to give Stallone credit for is that one way or another, he's made all these movies. In addition to the Rambo series and Cliffhanger and all these other wonderful things, Don't Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, all these masterpieces. You know, that didn't happen by sitting around and thinking about stuff. You have to do stuff too. Full moon out tonight, folks, on this Rocky ride. What else on this movie? Okay, here we go. Antonio Tarver, once again, the formula holds still. It's a little bit different. Spoilers. Antonio Tarver wins several fights as the opponent, playing Mason the Lion Dixon. Kind of a cool name. And then their finale, Mason Dixon still wins the fight, although it's a 1-point split decision. It's supposed to be an exhibition fight. And the real victory, of course, is that this 50-something-year-old Rocky has gone the distance with, you know, they say he's in his 30s, Tarver, but in reality, folks, Antonio Tarver, he might have been creeping up on 40. He might have been 36 or 38. I don't want to say he was 40 quite yet. But Tarver, for boxing fans, he really got his sugar, so to speak. His big name fights were right around this time. He had fought Roy Jones Jr. when Roy Jones Jr. was the biggest thing in boxing, in I believe the middleweight division. And Roy Jones Jr. was thought of undefeatable or unbeatable. And Tarver really beat him up and lost a disputed, I believe it was a disputed majority decision, which everybody, including myself, thought Antonio Tarver was severely robbed in that decision. Now, I think I've got that right. I think that's what happened. It wasn't a draw. It was a decision for Roy Jones, which was pure bullshit. Should have gone to Tarver. I'm pretty sure that Jones got the bullshit decision, and then they had a rematch, and Tarver knocked Roy Jones out in 2 rounds. Okay? Then they had a third fight, and it was supposed to be a tiebreaker, although anyone with 2 brains in their head, or 2 eyes in their brains, or whatever the fuck, could see that Jones really had lost twice to Tarver, you know, if you weren't a crooked official, a crooked referee or judge. So they had the third fight, and I don't remember seeing that fight, but I believe Tarver won by decision, unless he won by knockout again. And then after that fight, both of those guys, like Tarver got into these weird fights, not weird, but he started losing fights to kind of a J-Bro, like a mid-card guy, meaning a boxer that was kind of a journeyman that fucking Tarver lost to and had to fight him in a rematch, and things got very convoluted somehow because basically Tarver started losing fights that he should have won. When he went through all this trouble of beating Roy Jones Jr. and then getting the Rocky franchise under his belt, instead of just dominating and having a great run, Tarver started losing to this other guy who nobody, I don't want to, they respected him, but he was kind of like a USA Boxing Thursday night guy. For the boxing fans out there, you're relishing that I remember these details. No Googling, just off the top of my fucking head, folks. I have a good memory. But any fucking way, Tarver was kind of at the peak of his career in 2006. And it's too bad that he didn't do more movies. Or I mean, I thought he was very good in this movie, to be honest with you. It was kind of a unique character, kind of a throwback to Apollo Creed, but without the great shit talking. Tarver was a guy who, his character of Mason the Line Dixon, was a guy who was a rich guy, a rich kid, walked in off the streets to box himself, fell in love with boxing, but never had the respect because he was just too dominant and he didn't have great opponents. And that kind of did represent heavyweight boxing in 2006, a problem that we've still had. I'm sorry, Tyson Fury doesn't do it for me. Deontay, not really either. I went to see their second fight at a Dave & Buster's shortly before coronavirus, and I was not impressed. So, yes, boxing has struggled. One interesting thing, boxing creatively has struggled. There hasn't been a great fight to capture people's imagination. Refresh my memory, folks, if I'm forgetting Manny Pacquiao versus somebody or, you know, whatever the fuck. But heavyweight boxing, the Klitschko's, to me, was not a great era. I'm sorry. Tyson Fury was not a great era. Lennox Lewis, you can look into Tough Love, a Lennox Lewis documentary. I did some script consulting is what I'm credited for, although I would say writing. You can look into that if you really want to. But basically, I would just say that this, it just wasn't the same. I don't know how else to explain it. It just, boxing has kind of sucked for a while, at least in the heavyweights. Here's the thing I want to discuss. My opinions, if you want to hear it, assholes. I just don't understand. It's not that I understand it. It's just what it was is that in this Rocky Balboa, for the first time, real life and Rocky Land, as one of the commentators says in the movie, kind of blurs. For instance, we have the HBO pay-per-view regalia. We have Michael Buffer as our ring announcer. We have Golden Boy Promotions banners everywhere. In like one of the last shots of Rocky leaving the arena, we see at Oscar de la Hoya, is it Vargas poster or a just big sign, a banner. So there's a lot of things in reality for people that were boxing fans in the 90s and into the 2000s that are kind of blurring the line, so to speak. And what I'm trying to tell you is, in previous Rocky outings, we kind of had our own little fantasy world of, you know, Union Cade and the ring announcers and the commentators, and it was just like a parallel universe that didn't cross the line and go into reality of what a real, you know, reality boxing show was like. This Rocky movie kind of merged those two worlds, and I'll leave it up to you to think. But I like Rocky Balboa. The end credits are very emotional because they show real live citizens up and down the steps and cheering and running the Philadelphia Museum of Art steps. I give this movie a big thumbs up. I think it's a tearjerker. I think if in the public eye, I remember this one being well received. I just remember everyone kind of liked it that did see it. A friend of mine told me he never saw it. He never got around to seeing it, and now it feels like it's not part of his canon. He doesn't want to go there with it, so I can't understand that. But I consider this, like I said, Rocky V ages better than we thought, but I think this movie does kind of tie it all together. We still have our fucking training montages like I said, the death stuff, I really, but I guess that's what makes Rocky Rocky. Rocky, part of the arc of this story is a man who's outliving all his fucking friends. One thing that's sad, once again, I talked about this last night in Rocky 5, was that Sage Stallone, who played Rocky Jr. in Rocky 5, has passed away at the young age of 36. He was not the actor playing. They call him Robert in this one. They don't really call him Rocky Jr. I think once or twice they do, but they also call him Robert in this movie. He was not played by Sage Stallone. So I'm not really sure what the whole dynamic was. That's none of my business. But I do feel like there's a lot of stories here. Tommy Gunn's not mentioned at all. And this would have been, well, I think Tommy Gunn might have, I'm not sure when he passed away either, to be honest with you. So just a lot of stuff, man. But Polly's in there. They bring back Spider, like the guy that Rocky fought in the first fight in that bar, which they never really talked about too much until this one. Little Marie, kind of creepy. That, you know, like the little girl that Rocky's walking home in, like, was it Rocky 1? Now suddenly he's dating her, but it's 30 years later and she's got a kid. And, you know, Rocky's kind of sideways comment, oh, did you know, thinks that the other guy's her kid. Oh, no, mine's this tall one. Oh, his father's Jamaican. You meet him on a cruise ship? It's just funny. It's like that passive-aggressive, you know, Philadelphia stuff. Anyway, I liked Rocky Balboa. Oh, boy. Here's what assholes do all the time. Rank your favorite Rocky movies. So there's 8 total. Oh boy, off the top of my head, I mean, I think let's just carve out the 6 original Rocky films and leave Creed 1 and 2. That's an obvious one. You say Creed 1 and Creed 2 in that order. I mean, I thought Creed 2 was really good, but probably give Creed 1 over Creed 2. But let's take these Rocky movies. Personal favorites, not saying the best. Personal favorites. It's a tough one. Well, 1 through 6. Fuck. I'll say Rocky 3, personal favorite. And I'm going to say as of this week, not as I enjoy them, because Rocky 4 will surprise you, but it was probably higher when I was before this week than it is now. But I'll probably say Rocky 3, I still give my personal favorite. So Rocky 3 is my number 1. Ooh, it's tough. I kind of, to be honest with you, I'm going to go with something I didn't think I'd say, but I'm going to say Rocky 3, Rocky 2. I'm actually going to rank as number 2. I'm going to say that I just, for some reason, maybe it's the commercials and stuff, like the commercial parody and just kind of Rocky. And I think Apollo has more screen time in Rocky 2. So I'm going to go Rocky 3, Rocky 2. Rocky 2 is probably the big upset for me and for everybody watching this. They're shocked that I'm putting Rocky 2 as my second favorite. Rocky 1 is my strong third favorite. It lays the foundation. If anything against Rocky 1, there's nothing against it. It's just, it's a slower movie, I guess. I've always kind of had that against Rocky 1, but I think you had to lay your foundation for these characters. So I'm going to give Rocky 3 as my first favorite. Rocky 2 is my second. Rocky 1 is my strong third. I'm being very generous to Rocky 2 tonight because I just want to give it a little bit of a push. So Rocky 1 has to take the hit for that. But Rocky... So then basically we got... Ooh, fucking duck. Because then you got Rocky Balboa. I guess I'll go with Rocky Balboa as my 4. I'm not going to be so disrespectful. See, I almost want to put Rocky Balboa as number 2. This is where it gets difficult. But I feel I just can't justify putting Rocky 1 like any lower than 3. I can't justify that. So I'm going to go with Rocky, but it's tough. It really is tough. I'm going to go Rocky 3, it's tough. Rocky 3, Rocky 2, the original Rocky, Rocky Balboa 4. Then you get the coin flip. You get 5 versus 4. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, you got. No, I'm going to start again. Rocky 3 is my favorite. Rocky 2. the original Rocky, Rocky Balboa, and now the death match is, what do I prefer? Rocky 4, Rocky 5. I'm going to put Rocky 5 above Rocky 4. So in order, once again, I know everyone's going to debate this. Personal favorite, not greatest. Remember, personal favorite, how I've enjoyed them this week. I'm saying 1 is Rocky 3, 2 is Rocky 2, because I really feel like that one caught me off guard how good that was. 3 is the original Rocky. 4 is Rocky Balboa. 5 is Rocky 5. And 6, the bottom of this ranking, is Rocky 5 with Tommy Gunn. So, but, you know, of all those, if I have to say that Rocky 5 was my least favorite this week, nope. Did I fuck myself in the ass? Yeah, I did. Rocky 4 is my least favorite. Rocky 5 is my second least favorite. Let's start again. Rocky 3 is my favorite. Rocky 2, second favorite. Original Rocky, third favorite. Rocky Balboa's fourth. Rocky 5 is 5. Rocky 5 is 5. And yeah, that's what's throwing me off, the numbers. Rocky 5 is 5. And the last favorite is Rocky 4. It's hard to get these numbers, because what throws you off is that there's 5 numbers and 6 ranking spots. There's 6 movies, 6 ranking spots, but that the numbers are goofy. So once again, it's Rocky 3 is my favorite. Rocky 2 is my second favorite. Original Rocky's third. Rocky Balboa's fourth. Rocky 5 is fifth, and Rocky 4 is sixth. Okay? So if you're a dyslexic person, it's very hard to think that way, because the numbers are all goofy. But anyway, that's my schmaltz. So Mike Messier YouTube channel, you've seen this Rocky series. Have you gone to the theater? Have you got your mask? Have you enjoyed life again? I know several people, look, everyone's got to go by their own comfort. And people are debating this whole mask issue. I get it. And our country's up in arms. And everybody's going to do what the hell they want. But, you know, if we all just fucking masked up a little bit, we would maybe not have to wear masks again. I did have some Dr. Pepper today. It's all watery now. I'm not liking it. Mike Messier, all the wonderful things.